What's up? It's Rash here, and we're gonna figure out just how strong Mimori Touka is from Failure Frame. When it comes to isekai, well, anime as a whole, this character is no joke. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually impossible to fight him with the way his abilities are set up, leaving anyone, even some of your favorite characters, at his mercy. Touka can easily wipe out an army, and 1v1s, you wouldn't even want to think about those. Starting with his ability Paralyze. Enemies will never have the opportunity to attack, let alone even move a muscle. The minute you're paralyzed, Touka already has the opportunity to kill you at the start of a fight, and this cannot be undone. His spells are something that are always going to happen, and you can't do anything about them. The success rate of any of Touka's spells are 100%, meaning that you cannot fight them back after they're casted. Honestly, I compare them to laws. His magic would easily bend you to his will. You could be 100 times stronger than Touka, or you could be resistant to the type of spells that he's casting, but no matter what, it's going to happen and it's going to work on you. So pretty much, right off the bat, Touka already wins a fight. That being said, the range of his paralysis would be 20 meters. If you're 20 meters away from him, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be stopped in your tracks. Now, this wouldn't stop you entirely, as crazy as that sounds, but what happens as a condition for moving while being paralyzed, your insides will begin to rupture for going against the spell. So this leaves you with two choices if you're fighting Touka. Either sit there, let yourself be paralyzed and let him kill you, or you move through the paralysis and kill yourself. Now, as broken as it is, there are still certain conditions and weaknesses that this paralyzed spell actually does have. As we already mentioned, it has a range that is only 20 meters, which would be the longest range of every single spell he would use, but he would have to say the names of all of his spells at a certain volume for them to actually work. And that is something that some of the fastest characters in isekai can exploit if he gives you the chance. Now, he would not be able to use Paralyze twice by allowing the ability to stack. So he can't sit there and spam the Paralyze spell. He would have to wait for it to finish completely, and after that, he would have to wait until he can use the ability again. But there's a method to the madness in which he can make it so that you never have a chance of fighting him. With his next ability, Sleep, which really doesn't need an explanation, but we'll still get into it regardless. The Sleep ability would make it so that any opponent falls asleep at his command. And what makes this dangerous is that the Sleep and Paralyze will last for an hour. So this gives him a lot of time to do whatever he wants to you and plan any way to exploit your weaknesses. What's dangerous about Sleep is you will never be able to wake up unless he allows you to, or until the hour in which you're sleeping ends. This is what makes it impossible to fight him in combat, because all he needs is 2 spells, and God knows he has way more than that. All he has to do is paralyze you, wait for the hour paralysis to stop, sleep you, and then wait for that hour to finish, and then he can paralyze you again and make it so that you can't do anything. And this is the genius of him only combining 2 spells. Mentioning his other spells, he'd be able to use Poison. This Poison is going to work no matter what, even if you're poison resistant, because like I said, he has a 100% hit rate on all of his spells. This poison would kill an opponent slowly over time, letting their body erode and die out. It would cause a person's legs to melt away, and they would experience extreme pain. What makes this ability special is the very fact that he can make it become lethal poison or non-lethal poison. When using non-lethal poison, you'd probably be wondering what kind of uses this would have. This would work if he is trying to interrogate someone or torture them to get information. And lethal poison is going to tear someone apart. You didn't hear that from me though. And it's really easy for him to do that because, of course, you're going to be stuck in an endless loop of being paralyzed and being put to sleep. Now, if he combines his poison ability with the use of these 2 other abilities, well, you're just going to sit there and die, and you can't do anything about it. This is literally what makes this character so strong. He has all of the control in a fight, and there's nothing anyone can do. When the main character uses poison, you really just have to let it kill you. And even if you're poison resistant, it is still going to affect you and kill you. His next spell would in fact be his fastest spell, and this would be known as Dark. And this is honestly one of the perfect things he can use in combination with all of his abilities. Dark completely blinds everyone who comes within its range. Unfortunately, this ability would have a downfall. If someone is good at fighting with their eyes closed, then they are going to be able to fight through this and possibly beat the main character. But odds of that happening are few far in between, if you want to be honest. Thinking about it, once you're blinded and he uses any of his other spells right after, you're just not fighting. You really are not fighting and doing anything. I cannot stress this enough. It's really broken when he uses all of these abilities in tandem. Now, even if you are blind, if he does use any of his other abilities before using Dark, it's going to be very hard for anyone to concentrate and actually hit him once he uses the Dark ability on you after you've been damaged. I don't think anyone who has been poisoned, put to sleep, and paralyzed is going to be able to fight while blind. That's something we can all definitely agree on. With this ability, Berserk, he makes all of his opponents lose reasoning and control over their minds and bodies. This forces anyone who is hit by it to fall into a rage-like state, completely leaving themselves open, and not only this, they would kill anything that is close to them. Whoever's closest to them is going to get killed easily. That, or if anything makes a loud enough noise, they will come charging at that sound without even thinking about it. Now, with the right strategies, he can make other noises to draw people out into areas where he can put them into the range of his spells. And he can do this while throwing rocks and sticks, but to be honest, he doesn't really need to use any real strategy, because by paralyzing a person, then using Berserk right after Paralysis, as we know, once someone moves under its effects, they will be damaged from the inside and die. And so after paralyzing a person, using Berserk right after would lead them into a quick death that is unavoidable. Literally. While being paralyzed and being forced to move, you're just going to have to, without a doubt, kill yourself. This is a guaranteed win for the start of any fight. It's so free, and it requires so little effort. It's astounding. Well, would you look at that? Another ability that just lets you not do a single thing, let alone move a muscle. Freeze. Now, I wonder what this does. Alright, it covers an entire target inside of ice, and it can only be used onto 3 things or people at one time. Now, he can freeze non-living things and living things, but there is a vast difference between how he freezes the two. Now, if he freezes a living thing, an organism, a human, or anything along those lines, they will be frozen for only 300 days. Now, if he freezes a living organism, he will not be able to break it apart by crushing it. However, if he freezes something like a rock or a mountain, he could destroy it, or if he freezes a dead body. Yet, if he freezes a person that is alive, he cannot kill them, but while they're trapped in the ice, he can still apply his effects of poison and Berserk and everything else down the list on them. When you're fighting Touka, you're just in the palm of his hands, man. And finally, his last ability, Slow, is what's gonna help him really dodge some insane attacks. Spears, arrows flying at the main character, even monsters, anything that comes in a specific range of him, even the rain, would stop and become immediately so slow to a point where all reflexes are delayed, and anyone that is physically superior to the main character will be without a doubt defeated. And this would cover a distance of 30 meters. Anything and everything that is inside of this range will slow down. And Touka doesn't even have to aim this ability. The only way to stop this ability is to get as close as to 1 meter inside of the main character's personal range. But how are you going to do that when you move so slow? There's nothing that can be done. The only thing that really sucks about this ability is the fact that he cannot use all of his other abilities when he uses it. So he'll have to cut it off to be able to use all of his other abilities, because let's be honest, if he uses slow and you're moving slowly and then he uses all the other abilities, he's won. He really has won, and there's no thing that can stop him from defeating anyone. So yeah, there had to be something to stop him from being way more overpowered than he already is. but it's practically impossible to hit him when he has this ability on. Finally, he would have one last touch to use in a fight, and this would be Piggy Maru, his faithful companion. Now, he can connect with Piggy Maru, and this would help him expand all the ranges on his attack, making any spell that was hard to hit before a cakewalk. Not only would he be able to hit enemies that are outside of his range while using this, but he would also have tentacles that can attack people whenever he needs them to for offensive attacks. And not only this, he can have Piggy Maru make any weapon he wants and needs for any situation. And with the properties of Piggy Maru being a slime, after applying a monster enhancement to Piggy Maru would be able to crawl across ceilings and allow the main character to climb walls and buildings and allow himself to stick onto any surface. Not only this, but Piggy Maru would also be able to create a bunch of slimes to overwhelm an enemy. Now, what makes this connection with Piggy Maru so great is the fact that Piggy Maru would not be able to take any damage. So if you're out of the main character's range and he uses a tentacle to increase his range to hit you with a spell, then you wouldn't be able to do anything about it because you cannot damage any tentacles. But what you could do is probably run away from it, but that's easier said than done. And if Touka does not have any weapons, we all know Piggy Maru can already create weapons, but Piggy Maru himself can also turn into a weapon when the main character really needs an option to fall back on. And to make things so much easier for the main character, he can use teleportation crystals, which allow him to quickly leave combat and also allow himself to teleport into a point where an enemy would still be inside of his range, giving him way more control than he already did while fighting. Now, when it comes to how strong Touka is, I'm not gonna lie, his fighting style literally just stops you in your tracks. I would say he's beating a majority of different protagonists. Now, if these protagonists are warping reality, or if they can negate magic, there's not much he's going to be able to do. But since his attacks always hit no matter what due to their 100% chance, then the minute you get hit by one of his attacks, you already lost. And his slow ability that he can just use to stop anyone in their tracks at the beginning of a fight lets him set up for his combinations of numerous spells that are just going to kill you. He has way too many options to defeat someone instantly. Again, he can use Paralysis, then force a person to move while using Berserk, making them kill themselves. And his weakness, which is his range, he can just fight that back by using his connection with Piggy Maru. And there is the possibility of him running out of mana, but I'm not gonna lie, that doesn't matter because his mana pool really just becomes so enormous that he can use pretty much anything at free will without having to think about it because he's going to end a fight pretty fast. Thanks to every single last one of his options. I would give him the ranking of demigod because he can easily impose his will on other people. Now, when it comes to fighting godlike opponents, he might not really stand a chance, I'm not gonna lie, but it is still up for debate. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and make sure to check out these 2 other videos I have appearing on your screen right now. If you like this one, you're definitely gonna love those.